My clock has just clicked over to 2030, so I'm going to make a start and welcome you all to this live stream, which is about neutralizing the harmful or adverse effects of medical interventions. Okay, and so I'm going to say how I come to this and what my approach is. So, the human body is a complex bioenergy system. That's how I see it. It constantly adapts to its environment on all levels, and it manifests those adaptations physically. When the environmental conditions undermine the well-being of the organism, a condition of disease, dis-ease, manifests. The body gets sick, or what we call sick, as it clears them. So, sickness is very often, energetically, it's a clearing process. Sometimes that clearing overwhelms the body's clearing system. And that's when sickness persists. That's when a complaint or a condition just seems to stick and not go away. And sometimes the bioenergetic system is so disrupted that the organism loses coherence and dies. And throughout human history, practices have been developed to prevent or avoid and defeat sickness. Not all of those practices have been successful, as we all know. Some are even harmful. And this fact has driven the research and search for improvements in the practices. And out of that search, what we know as modern allopathic medicine has emerged as a kind of gold standard that must be followed. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about modern allopathic medicine because it does have its uses, and I personally would not be here without it. So it's not a question of saying it is completely wrong and rubbish, but it's not complete. And the greatest learning often comes from the mistakes made, and that's true in pretty much every aspect of life. I've learned such a lot from my mistakes. I'm thinking of making a few more. But, when they come to medical mistakes, there have been many. Sometimes they're overcome. Sometimes they leave a disaster in their wake. So medical interventions have an experimental history of causing damage, and that is seldom publicly admitted. In essence, all medical intervention is experimental. Outcomes cannot be guaranteed. And, I would underline this by the fact that I guarantee most of you have been to a doctor at some point, and just like I have, and you've gone with a complaint and they've said, oh yes, here's some medicine, take this and come back next week and let me know how you get on. So, and if it doesn't work, we'll try something else. It's an experiment. So it's becoming clear that traditional approaches of modern medicine ignore the inherent intelligence of the human bioenergy system. And this is what creates the damage. And in that process, the bioenergy system of the human organism is left traumatized and sometimes severely functionally impaired. Everything that impacts the human bioenergy system leaves its mark, scars and trauma that are not all visible. The organism is modified in some way, emotionally, mentally, physically and energetically. And one of the most obvious demonstrations of this is the phenomenon of phantom limb in amputees. People that have had limbs, they've lost their arm, they've lost their leg or a foot or something. They often have pain in that part of the body, and it's not there. And in English, it's called a phantom limb. Now, since the late 19th century, the use of technology has increased dramatically, and much of that technology has generated health problems in human populations. These are constantly denied in favor of commercial motives until the evidence becomes overwhelming. A simple example of that is smoking cigarettes. In addition to the fairly straightforward chemical toxins and neurosystem, that's a nervous system, disruptors of the past, microscopic, metallic, nano components are now in use. And that's the stuff that's sprayed on us through chemtrails. It might turn up in other places too. Some of these components can shock the human bioenergy system to disconnect from source, or certainly disrupt it, sometimes permanently, because they create such a physical distraction that all of our energy tends to be focused in our physical discomfort. And they also can increase susceptibility to electromagnetic interference. This has the potential to hybridize humanity with technology, as well as create a mass termination event. Experimental biotechnology, as in messenger RNA, that modifies the human genome, is also being rolled out under the guise of medical treatment. And it's an experiment. The existence of this kind of artificially intelligent nanotechnology and quantum bioengineering is contentious. And lots of people will say it's not possible. But I suggest you do your own research on that. I am going to assume that it is possible, and the protocol that I'm going to share with you tonight will include it. Nanotechnology and genome modifiers can be introduced into the human biosystem via hypodermic injection, as well as surgical procedure. With sufficient numbers treated, the technology would have the potential to spread throughout the population energetically via telepathic union. That's what some people call morphic resonance. That's to say, it would not be necessary for everyone to receive a treatment for it to impact everything. And remember the business of mistakes and some very, very nasty medical experiments that have been practiced. Not everything is publicly admitted or announced. So I don't really want to say any more than that, except there is plenty of evidence for some very suspicious experimentation throughout human history, and certainly throughout the 20th century and up to the present time. And that's really for you to do your own research. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the protocol. I'm going to use one or two terms that I've gleaned or gathered from my own research, some of it from well-known software developers. I'm not going to say who, but there are two things that I need to tell you about now. One is called DNA, strand displacement technology, and that's the replacement of a particular strand in the genome, in the DNA, with another one, with another artificial one, and the application of an approximate majority algorithm. And that's like where there's something inside a system, self-analyzes the system and determines that there is enough of one sort of process or substance to say that it's all there. It's an approximate majority. It's like the elections, and everyone's cast their vote, and they don't bother to count all the votes. They just say, "Oh yes, we've seen all the people voting for these people, and we've seen all the people voting for them. There's an approximate majority, so we're going to go with that." It's like a systematic process of analysis. The other thing I've already mentioned is telepathic union, which is like morphic resonance that Rupert Sheldrake talks about, and items that are again very contentious. They are called robotic elements and robotic threads. And if you do the research, there actually all the information is available if you go digging for it. So I think that's enough now to get on with the protocol. I hope that you've all had a chance to look at my introduction, because this tells you a bit about how I use what I call intentional narrative protocols to work with myself and work with others in transformative practice. Okay, so I'm going to go slow and I'm going to start now. And you say this: I, and then say your full name. Invite, allow, and direct the divine intelligence I am to partner with me now. To reconfigure my quantum bioenergetic system. The cellular intelligence of my body-mind. And the quantum innate intelligence of my DNA coding. Multi-dimensionally. So as to be. optimally coherent with source and with the flow of the divine brilliance I am. In the physical vehicle that I call my body, in this incarnation, in this time-space reality. Divine intelligence, work with my bioenergetic structure, with the genome of the body I inhabit. Work with every relevant aspect of my being. Quantum, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, multi-dimensional, interdimensional, hyper-dimensional, and trans-dimensional. Utilize all vibrational resources that are aligned with divine love, with divine light, with universal truth, with universal wisdom, and aligned with my soul's purpose. Divine intelligence, the physical body I inhabit has been subject to medical interventions, procedures, and medication of various kinds. These have all supposedly been beneficial and in general accordance with officially sanctioned medical practice. Yet often administered, carried out, in the absence of my fully informed consent. It's possible that some of those interventions have rogue characteristics that modify my bioenergetic system adversely. And in ways that can interrupt my connection with Source. It's possible that some of those interventions have rogue characteristics that modify my bioenergetic system in ways that disrupt the coherence of the relationship between my bioenergy system and the indwelling consciousness I am, and which restrict the balanced, healthy flow of my life force energy. It's possible that some of the medication I've taken contains ingredients that are toxic to my biology. ingredients that are damaging to my internal biochemical life support system, and which weaken my natural organic immune system. It's possible that some of those procedures have introduced elements, organisms, devices into my bioenergy system which override the autonomy of the cellular intelligence of my body mind. That distort my natural organic immune responses and which endanger the survival of the physical body I inhabit. Where any of this is true for me, I invite the multi-dimensional divine intelligence I am, the cellular intelligence of my body mind, and the quantum innate intelligence of my DNA coding to coordinate with each other and work with every relevant aspect of my being now, to neutralise the adverse effects of all medication, of all medical interventions, and all medical procedures that compromise my unique personal connection with Source, that compromise the coherence and balanced functioning of my bioenergy system, or that compromise the healthy flow of my life force energy. That distort my natural, organic immune responses, or that endanger the survival of the physical body I inhabit. Divine intelligence, pay particular attention to where any substances, organisms, alien technologies, artificial intelligence, nanotechnologies, mRNA, genetic code modifiers, DNA, strand displacement technology, and the application of an approximate majority algorithm silicon-based artificial life forms or other mechanisms have been introduced into my system via invasive procedures, hypodermic injection, or polymerase chain reaction, PCR, PCR test procedures, or by systemic resonance, telepathic union with others whose systems have been modified by any of these methods, so that all functionality of these devices is terminated forthwith. And so that all adverse effects are completely eliminated, and residues cleared from my quantum biology and my energy system. Divine intelligence, infuse me with sufficient divine love and divine light to dissolve and eliminate all of the physical shock, energetic shock, chemical shock, toxic shock, nervous shock encountered by my system in relation to any medical intervention, especially where these impact on the cellular intelligence of my body-mind. And modulate the vibration of my system. So that all robotic elements and robotic threads are prevented from operating or existing within me. Disabling and destroying them completely. Divine intelligence. Modulate the resonant frequencies of my DNA templates to prevent the replication or reinstallation of any of these devices or effects in my bioenergy system. And to establish full interdimensional, transdimensional, multi-dimensional, and physically manifested cosmic immunity to these and any further artificial devices that have the potential to undermine the sovereignty of my unique connection with Source. Divine intelligence, infuse me with so much divine love and divine light that all of this is organized and implemented in my genome and my bioenergetic system now. Reconfigure my entire bioenergetic system to support the fullest expression of the divine brilliance I am, and flow of my well-being in all situations. All with grace, with ease, with gentleness, in the ideal way and timing for me. And so it is. So I'm going to leave it there. This will have been quite deep and quite strong. So when we're changing our bodies like this, we need to drink lots of water, keep the fluid intake up, and we also need to make sure that the protein intake is maintained. Because if you're changing your genome, you're changing your body proteins, and that means you need to fuel that. You need to give your genome, your body, your physical biology, the food it needs to rebuild itself. And so that's very important that you do that. Also, there might be some energetic fallout from this. Just make sure that you take it easy, avoid alcohol, avoid recreational substances in general, and get plenty of rest. And go well. Thank you for being on the call, and I look forward to sharing some more with you as it comes through. Namaste.